Welcome to Season 5 of TVGP's Critical Misses. This season, yet again, we are watching all the hits we've missed. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpier.
Hello, Governor. I don't know why I do it in a Cockney accent, but I did.
Cool, blimey. This season's recommendation was actually from Moon, and he suggested that we watch all of the... call them seasons for lack of a better / less annoying term. All 3 seasons of FLCL / Fooly Cooly.
Yes. So let's talk about this really quick.
Okay.
So Fooly Cooly.
Yes.
There will be people who will be listening to this who will be like, "What's all to do with FLCL?"
It's my favorite. That's me. Yes.
Yes. Then there will be people like me who are like, "I don't know what this is."
Right.
I have heard specifically my American friends talk about this for years, and I just don't know.
Right.
So tell me, was this a Cartoon Network Dragon Ball Z thing?
So there's a little bit of history that's important here. I promise this matters. In 1998, Cowboy Bebop finished its airing run. Why that's important is it is the last large-scale cell-animated TV anime show. The next
because it started going CG and stuff after that, didn't it?
Right, and the stuff that came out after that was CG was not great. And it's that sort of thing where you could really, like the late 90s, early 2000s CG stuff where you can really tell, like that Dead Space movie where you're just like,
I was going to say, wasn't like the Ghost in the Shell sequels in that same style and everybody panned them?
Some of them were, yeah, and it's very much like, oh, this is not the next wave of animation. But Gainax, the studio who famously one of their big hits is Evangelion, teamed up with Production IG, who's made literally every large anime series in like the last 30 years. It's just like this hit list of bajillion-dollar things they've worked on.
Okay, the Disney of anime.
100%. They teamed up and they said, all right, this computer-generated stuff isn't really working. Let's try and leverage some of the, at the time, was called digital painting. Now it's just called, like, digital art. Let's try and leverage that and try and make a more traditional show that looks cel-animated, but with the benefits of being able to make this incredibly quickly by not having to take pictures of animation cells.
I'm guessing that I got the more developed version of that in both Naruto and Bleach, where you can very clearly see, okay, this looks like it's hand-drawn on anime cells, but then look at this computer effect going around it. It's clearly not.
Right, yeah, and like, look at this incredible amount of work they put together for a 20-minute TV show, and there will be another one next week. So they sort of took that ethos and said, like, let's really try and push ourselves to kind of upgrade what we're doing from a production standpoint, and then take the rules of what a traditional anime show might be and kind of break them all over the place. Like, one of the reasons why this is famous, but one of the big rules it broke, was that they brought in the Pillows, a Japanese rock band, to do the soundtrack, as opposed to this like sweeping orchestral score. No, it's part of this band's discography. They're just gonna be playing over these episodes. Okay.
Just like Naruto and Bleach have. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so I'm definitely. I was on the back end. I was at the back end of this start of this evolution kind of thing.
Right. It was hugely successful when it came out. It's 6 episodes, 25 minutes. It's a really quick thing. And it tells a very self-contained story. Fair warning, it will not make a lot of sense the first watch through, and that's sort of by design. So you not being a huge anime fan, you're probably going to miss some of the references.
Hold on. I am a huge anime fan.
You're not a classic anime fan.
Specifically, it's the made popular in the West animes. Give me your Bleaches, give me your Dragon Balls, give me I like Cowboy Bebop. I think it's cool. I probably need to sit down and watch that at some point again soon.
Some
Like,
future season of this show.
I know the big ones.
Right. You're probably going to miss some of the references in FLCL for some of the classic stuff. Like, they're going to make a Lupin's Green Jacket and Castle of Cagliostro reference. 99% of
go over my head.
Yeah, 99% of people aren't going to get that, and why that's funny. That's okay. That stuff doesn't really matter. One big piece of advice for this show, especially for the first episode: you're not going to catch everything on your first watch through, and especially the first episode is chaotic. Just let it happen. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on. Just let it happen. I know, Moon, you'll just ride it out and be like, that was weird, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I know a lot of...
I love Fist of the North Star. I'm used to things starting chaotically.
Yeah, there's a famous, potentially infamous scene that happens in episode 1 and episode 6, where it's kind of the make or break point for a lot of people when they watch it, where they're like, cool, what? So I know you'll stick it out because that's sort of our general thought here for the show. But if anyone listening hasn't watched the show yet, just kind of take the ride. It's like 2.5 hours to watch 6 episodes. It's not that bad. Mm-hmm. I'm very curious. I haven't watched it in a couple of years. I used to watch it like once or twice a year because it's such a quick viewing.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't watched
Symphony of the Night for anime.
Yeah.
And now but I haven't... that you can play Symphony of the Night this year.
That's right. I haven't watched it in a while, so I'm kind of excited to revisit it. It is 4:3. It's not 16:9. So
I don't care.
It's
like recently we watched half of Dragon Ball, so I'm fine with that.
Right. Yeah, it's in that, like, all this transition stuff where, like, it's not 16:9, it's 4:3. It was broadcast on TV. It wasn't broadcast on pay-per-view stuff. And then I think I'm curious to see how I feel revisiting it, and then I've never watched the other 2 seasons, Progressive and Alternative.
Okay. So
I'm curious to see how those hold up, and then especially for you as an anime fan, but you're like me, you haven't seen some of these tentpole releases that maybe if you were here in the States when Adult Swim was sort of at its height, you would have seen it because they aired it a bajillion times.
Yeah, this is a reason I've seen Dragon Ball a million times, is because that aired on Cartoon Network right as I finished school. Right. So the old classic thing of Dragon Ball was, it'll start from the beginning, it'll get to whatever the most recent episode is, and then while they're waiting for the translations, it'll just go straight back to the beginning again.
Yep.
And watch the whole thing all over again.
Those are the good times, yeah. So yeah, Fooly Cooly is a really interesting thing that I like a whole lot for reasons that I think are all spoilers.
Okay. You did say it's probably not going to make sense the first watch through, but you also said the word Evangelion included in the description of this, so I'm expecting that, to be completely honest.
Yeah, Gainax is sort of famous for making shows that are dense and
open to interpretation, maybe.
Yeah, and I think by the end of these 6 episodes, there's some stuff in the ending that can be left to interpretation, and there's some stuff where it's like, yeah, you just dumped a whole bunch of terms on me all at once. Okay. But we'll see if that gets resolved during Progressive and Alternative, potentially.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm excited to watch Fooly Cooly. Any final thoughts here before we head into it?
Well, I'm curious because, like I said, this is something, like you said, I think this is something that Americans hold very near and dear. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this has got the traction. Well, it certainly didn't have the traction for me over in the UK.
Right.
Clearly, I definitely experienced the after effects of this because apparently it changed the industry, and like everything came afterwards. I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's just do that instead.
Yeah.
For clarity of the listeners' sakes, if they're going to watch along this episode, we are doing the full first season, the whole 6 episodes.
All 6 episodes, the full first season. Yeah.
Yep. So it's not a 3 and 3. It's a we're doing all 6. Like you said, it's like 2.5 hours. And then the next episode will go into the next season and so on and so forth.
Yeah. It'll only be three seasons this season. 3 episodes this season. Whew, there we go. Yes. Because I believe even progressive and alternative are 25-minute episodes. So it should be pretty straightforward.
Yep, and we will see whether or not your weeaboo life holds up 30 years later or whatever it is.
Right. Recommendations too, sub or dub, doesn't really matter. The dub is fine. I usually watch it subbed because I think the main female lead's voice is pretty good in Japanese, but it doesn't really matter.
So here's a fun fact for you. I love all anime subbed, generally speaking. I love sub. When I watch Bleach, I totally watch Bleach through fan translations. So I got used to listening to the Japanese audio. Now when I watch Bleach, if it's the English audio, it freaks me out.
It's just like, I don't understand them.
The inverse is true for Dragon Ball. The Japanese audio freaks me out because the first one I was exposed to was the dub.
Right.
So it's this weird thing where it's like, I'm just going to watch it subbed and then I'm just going to do the same thing. Because I also know for a fact that there is a long history with anime of dubs having issues. I'm looking at you, Akira, with the 25th anniversary translation or whatever it was that was horrific.
Yeah, Akira is what a history on the multiple dubs of that movie.
Yeah. But no, I'll be doing subs probably. Well, the good news is that means I have to pay attention. There
you go. Yeah. And the benefit too is like each episode is so short, you can just kind of watch 1 a day or 2 a day, and you're not really in it for a ton of time.
Normally, when I finish work, I come home and I watch an episode of a show. Right. So, because I have to plan my day out because I don't have time to do anything anymore between exercise, work, chores, and everything else, and the many things we do for the 50
show. Podcasts you and I do, yeah.
Yeah, like it's like no, I need to block out like these schedules of time. So like I will come home while I'm eating my dinner, I will watch a TV episode, whatever it is. Elementary, Mandalorian, now it's going to be FLCL for 5 days, and then we'll discuss it when we come back.
Right. All right, well, on that note, let's go watch it.
Yup.
Welcome back. We have watched The Thing. All 6 episodes of FLCL, Fooly Cooly, Fooly Cooly, Guri. Whatever else you want to call it. Moon. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Quick question. And this is a note I have from episode 6. What is Fooly Cooly?
One of my favorite things about the show is it's never. I think if anyone hasn't seen this, I think the most contemporary comparison I can make it to is the second of Nolan's Batman movies with Joker in it, where he has like 7 different origin stories. There's like 50 different explanations of what FLCL is, and then even in the last episode, Naoto's dad is like, you can tell us now. Like, what's FLCL?
You're the main character, you're supposed to know.
It's one of my favorite lines. You're the main character, you're supposed to know. And he's like, how would I know? What the hell? What's even happening?
So, okay. Let's rewind a little bit here. We'll get to our feelings, or I will get to my feelings eventually.
Right.
Trust me, we're going to get there. So, episode 1, you said there's one section that everybody hates, and you will know right then and there whether or not that's your breaking point. I have notes. Is Guitar Lady the breaking point? ? Or is it the fourth wall break? ? Or is it the comic section ?
It's the comic section, the manga section, where it's, especially on your first viewing, it's moving at about 500 miles an hour, and you're just like, okay, cool. Yeah. there's a lot happening right now.
Yeah. So, that was literally the only notes I wrote for episode 1, because I've seen some anime, so I'm used to like an anime where it doesn't bother answering any questions until like the finale.
Right.
Like I give you Bleach season 1, like as a good example of that.
Right.
Or Akira, where it doesn't bother answering everything, it just gives you vague questions about what is the meaning of Akira, and everybody has their own theories.
And then it like looks at you over the credits, and it's like, you get it, right? It's like, what? No. What? No.
Yeah.
It's over?
100%. Akira is one of those things where you kind of have to watch like 17 times before you even start to get close to the truth behind Akira.
Right.
Episode number 2, my only note is, what is this show?
So I do have one note for episode 1. One of the things I like so much about this episode, a solid episode. He gets run over. He gets hit by a bass guitar by this lady who's an alien, but isn't really, but actually really is.
Yeah, that is not made clear at all.
No, absolutely not. No,
nothing is explained. But yeah, he gets hit. He gets hit with a guitar, and then he gets horny.
100%.
Which is a theme for the show.
It's one of my favorite shots is after he has the horn growing, and it's like growing straight out of his head. It's like he's doing his homework, and it's like off screen, and he's just like, why is this happening to me? And he just leans his head down, and just this horn, it turns out to be Conti's finger, comes in frame, and you're just like, what? Okay. One of my favorite... Go ahead. One of my favorite things about this first episode is all this stuff happens. Conti comes out of his head and fights on top of a bridge with this giant blue arm, and everyone's got a guitar. And like, I'd love that the end of the episode, like seemingly everything has been resolved, and the last shot of it is like what the end of a season or a series would look like, and the credits happen. It's just like, there we go. That's FLCL. Have fun. It's just like wait, wait, what?
Which we'll get into the factory that looks like an iron. And the fact
Medical
that
Mechanicus factory.
Yeah, and the fact that it even has the steam function that irons have.
It's really good. Anyways, episode 2.
Yeah, we'll get into that nonsense. Like, it's worth mentioning, like, during the first episode, like, after learning the history of the show, like you talked about, like, it's like, we need to try and figure out a way to do cell shading without CG and CG without cell shading. We need to hybridize because it's just too expensive to do it either way.
Right.
I 1000% saw the future influences in the style.
Yes.
Like, there's the shot, I think it's in episode 1 or 2, where it's the rotating shot around.
The Matrix bullet time shot.
Yeah, it's around Hanamori or whatever her name is, like the older brother's ex-girlfriend, current girlfriend, I don't know.
Yes.
It's the rotating shot around her, and it's like, okay, I've seen something that... The best example I can give you is Lee's fight against Gaara in Naruto Season 1, where it does the same spinny shot, it does the same CG kind of things, but keeping the style. It's like, okay, I get it. You did this feels like a proof of concept when it comes to like an anime.
Yeah, and in 1999, it's like 99, 2000. It's kind of a flex too, where it's like, yeah, cool. Like, imagine how many hundreds of hours we would have taken to make this shot happen on cell. Yeah, we'll just use computers. And then they make a joke about it where they're all in like the van between takes, where like, oh, you guys had to hold your breath the whole time, and the screen's just like, no, that's not how it was shot.
Yeah, the fourth wall break. Yeah, that's...
There's more of that than I remember.
Yes. That must mean that the spinny shot happens in the first episode.
It does, yeah.
Because that's when the van break, like the crew quarters break happens in the middle of that episode.
Yep.
I mean, I like the dialogue. I think I did half subs, half dubs just to try and get a feel for both
Sure.
sides of it. So like the first 3 episodes was subs, the second 3 episodes was dubs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I did it that way because they throw out so many references in the last 2 episodes that I would not understand at all if I wasn't listening to the translated version.
I wrote down for episode 5, boy, I forgot how much this is the references episode. It's like literally the entire 25-minute runtime is just one anime reference, except for one reference. It's like one anime reference after another.
But that's also the episode where they're talking about rock stars.
Mm-hmm.
And
like obscure Japanese rock stars.
Yeah, and in the dub version, they start referencing a whole bunch of like metal stars, and it's like, oh, I know these people. I know Rage Against the Machine. I know this people. I know
fun.
Jimi Hendrix.
That's a good localization piece because in the sub version, it's all like these kind of famous like rockabilly Japanese guitarists.
Yeah. Oh, boy. I didn't make any notes for episode 3 because at that point I think I was trying to
like roll with the punches.
What the show is.
Episode 3 is probably my favorite one because I like Ninamori, his classmate with the purple hair that the mayor's daughter that's trying to put on the play for her parents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were talking about her or if you were talking about Smoochie Boy, who really irritated me by the end of the show.
Oh, his dumb, horny friend.
Smoochies.
He's yeah. In Japanese, it's chew. So he's always going choo choo choo. Like in episode 5, there's a really great shot. Like the only shot I like of him in the series where his lips are like 2 feet long and distended.
In the car.
That always gets me. Yeah, in the car. Like that always gets me. But the rest of it is just like, yeah, man, I get it.
So, I think I know why you and your ilk, I will refer to all
my degenerates.
Yes, your degeneration. Adore this because this is an anime made by anime fans.
Yes,
like they deliberately do the whole thing that when wrestling is at its best, wrestling does this too. They poke fun at the medium it's telling the story in.
Yes, very much so.
Like in the first episode, they're dropping like Akira and Ghost in the Shell references and stuff like that, and you're just like, wait, hold on. Anime is not supposed to do that.
Yeah, Naoto's dad is always talking about like classic anime from the 70s and the 80s. And it's kind of interesting, but kind of it's a very interesting choice.
Yeah, it is because it was made by people like you for people like you. It's why you guys love it.
And I think that's why I've always been like a little baffled why it has gotten so big, is because like more than half of it is the original story of Haruko, Naoto, and Kanti. And the other like 25% of it is just like one reference after another of anime that's older than most of the people that are watching it. And it's odd.
Yeah, it definitely gives me that feeling of what is going on. Every time they drop a reference, I'm just like, really? Really? Yeah, I can't remember what happened in episode... Okay, who was the monster of the week in episode 2?
Episode 2 was... That's the episode I don't really like. It was the rest of the robot's body that came out of Naoto's head from the first episode. So he's missing the blue arm. The rest of the body came out in episode 2.
And episode 2, was that also the one where he turned into the red cannon for the first time in Transformer?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Episode 3, like I said, I don't have any notes for that one. Who was the bad guy in that one?
That was that like green spidery thing that ate the curry at the end and like poops out whoever it is.
Yeah, that's the friend from the Mayor's Daughters episode. Is that one?
Yeah,
that's a solid episode, if I'm honest.
Like, and because I like that it's part of what I think is interesting is even though Naoto has a bunch of friends at school, he has people that he's friendly with and he's kind of close with. no one
knows what he's like outside of school. It looks like, except for his brother's ex-girlfriend, current girlfriend.
Like sort of both, I guess. Like everybody's at an arm's length, so it's kind of interesting to see someone get close to him that's sort of like, yeah, man, like, this town is boring, and it does suck that it's, the fog is here 24/7, and like they say in almost every episode, nothing happens in this town. Wink. But like, it's interesting to see someone else that's in a sort of similar position where it's like, yeah, man, like, my family's kind of weird too, and, someone may have hit me on the head as well and opened up an NO portal, but, teenage stuff, right?
Which, yeah, who knows what NO is?
I had to look it up. I forgot. I had to look it up before this episode. It's a portal across space.
Well, that much I know because the stupid Commander guy, Eyebrows guy, says that in like episode 6.
Yep. That's all it is. It's just a portal from one side of space to the other.
Yeah. Whatever. Something opening. I don't know.
Yep.
So, anyway.
I like episode 3 a lot. And I like that it ends with her, like, putting her finger through the fake glasses and being like, there are no lenses.
They're fake.
Yep. Yeah. It's really good.
That episode actually was also a bit of an animation flex too, with the whole spider thing. Like, that was I feel like the episode 1, episode 3, and episode 6 are the big flex episodes. We'll get to episode 6 when we get there.
Check out this money. Oh yeah, computers.
Check out this new style. I bet you want to steal it from us.
And the cool part about it is it looks like anime. Like, it doesn't look like there's some stuff you can tell.
Complex.
Oh god, yeah. Like, you can tell that there's clearly some stuff that is still CG. Like the hand coming down towards the iron in, I think, episode 5 or 6.
My favorite thing about that one is that's not CG. That's just a real hand. That's just a real life hand.
And it looks really weird. Tell. And it's one of those things where it's like, you could have played it up a little bit better, like Gynax did in some of their other, like His and Her Circumstances had some like actual live action stuff in it that was done in a similar style. But
and they do that in this a lot, where like people are in the middle of a fight and then there's Einstein's like head like photoshopped over somebody for some reason.
Yep, why not? He's in here too. Like, yeah, sure.
Like, the thing with me is, like, I like comedy.
Yes.
I like a very specific type of comedy, and I have never watched an anime that considers itself comedic before. I've seen anime that has comedic moments, but all of the quote-unquote funny episodes of Dragon Ball Z are the ones I skip straight past.
Yeah, and you probably haven't seen Excel Saga, right?
Unless it's a spreadsheet video game, no.
God, if only. If you think this episode is manic, Excel Saga is insane. Anywho.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like, I'm trying to wrap my head around it, but it's like, I need to expect comedy, and that's not something I was expecting from an anime, because I have limited experience with anime comedies. I know they exist. Like,
the wild swings it has between incredibly serious moments where there's some really cool action happening, and then, like, literally seconds later, episode 6, Haruko and Naoto are flying on the Vespa towards the hand, and the commander guy is shooting at them. It's a very serious moment, and he hits them, and it goes ting, and they like start spinning in air. Like, it's just like the wild swings from, oh my god, are they gonna make it to stop Medical Mechanica from doing this thing, to ting, pew 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 pew. Like, it just it's crazy.
Every time Naoto gets hit by a car, he's doing like 6,000 barrel rolls in the air, and then next thing you know, he's like fighting people, he's firing Uzis, he's doing a variety of things.
The airsoft fight in episode 5 is insane.
So, rewinding a little bit to episode 4.
Yeah.
Rehydrated dad?
That stuff is still that's part of this show that I'm still like, every time I watch it, it's just like, I sort of lost the plot here. Like,
Yeah,
not entirely sure how we got from episode 3 to rehydrating your dad, like Void
yeah.
Bastard
It's the
style.
baseball episode is what
Yep.
I've called it.
Yep.
Also, it is the thirstiest of the episodes from a show which, from the off, is a very thirsty show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it feels like it's trying to toe that line right before it's like, let's just slap a H on the front of this anime and
Yeah.
then see where it goes.
Yeah, and like some of it is referential, like in episode 5 with the Lupin the Third, like the boxing glove coming out of Haruko.
Okay, is that what that was a reference
Yes,
to?
that's it's like one of the most famous shots of Lupin the Third. Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't get that reference because
No,
haven't seen
yeah,
it.
I wouldn't expect you. You've probably seen a still shot of it, but you probably haven't seen the episode. Maybe I don't remember. Yeah, yeah, but episode 4 is interesting. I like that Naoto gets his own guitar. Like he pulls a flying V out of Kanti.
Yeah, should we talk about the obsession with guitars, by the way?
Yeah, like this show is just like, hey, how cool are guitars? Here are all of the cool ones, the coolest ones.
Yeah, like by model name, serial number, and everything. Like they know their guitars.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. And
no, I don't either.
The fact that the lead lady has got like a left-handed bass tickles me every single time.
Yep. And it has like a pull cord on it.
Yeah, with a chainsaw engine.
Some sort of motor in it. Yeah, why not?
Like, okay,
sure.
Oh, and also, by the way, it's a gun too.
Yes, of course. As we find out in episode 5, it's also a gun.
Yeah,
because why not?
I don't know. And yeah, episode 5. I think episode 4 was the introduction of the eyebrows guy.
Yes, I believe so.
Where everybody always like this is what I'm talking about when it's like poking fun at its own medium. Everybody references the eyebrows.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, "What do you mean? These are my eyebrows." And it's like, bro.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
That continues into episode 5, where everybody continues referencing the eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because why not, we get a South Park scene?
So, I totally forgot about the South Park cut until watching it this time, and I went to go look it up, because, boy, that's a really weird reference for an anime to make, like a Japanese-produced anime to make. And there was one interview where someone was like, dude, what? And they were basically like, look, no one in Japan watches South Park, and we were having a blast just dying over these episodes that were only in English that we don't understand, and we thought we would pay homage to this thing that overseas audiences would get, but almost nobody in Japan would get. I was like, okay, interesting.
People in Japan would just think it was like some cookie little look at all the style changes, because
they
do a lot of style changes. The whole, like, it feels like every episode has got like 4 different styles in it, which is number 1, unusual, cool, but also very disorientating.
Yes.
Especially with older brother's girlfriend, like constantly doing the duck face, like constantly doing the duck face.
Just yeah, like her style specifically changes a lot in pretty interesting ways.
But yeah, like I was not expecting them to just drop a South Park references in there.
No, it's just like, and to put that reference in there for when he's talking to the hairdresser to make him look cool for when he meets Haruko again, because he wants to like try and win her affection, when it seems like every time she sees him she's like, who are you again? Which is really Commander Amaro is his name, which
is also clearly he was the one of the original Naotos, so she's tried this before,
and
tried it with him, and it clearly didn't go as planned.
Right.
I'm wondering if that's how he lost his eyebrows. Just getting hit in the face too much with a guitar.
Pro- Probably. It seems like one of the side effects this show would do. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thirst continues with the like. Normally it wouldn't bother me, but this is not like when I was a kid. I didn't give a crap if anybody walked in on me watching Dragon Ball Z because it was like, yeah, energy beams and fighting.
Just a lot of
If
people
I'm
going, ha!
Yeah, usually for 30 minutes straight.
Right.
If anybody walked on me during specific scenes or sequences in this anime, I would be dying of embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
Because number one, they are super suggestive.
Yes.
I'm glad I was wearing headphones.
Especially during the last 2 episodes, yeah.
Yeah. But then also, you can't rationally explain the plot while you're trying to watch it because the plot doesn't exist / make sense.
And the plot is moving at like 500 miles an hour. So you're just like, what's this alien coming out of this head? And it's like, I don't have time. I'm so sorry. This episode is only 25 minutes and it is moving. And I think one of the things I like about episode 5 is whenever he gets a little bit cocky in the episode, like the gun making the
hammer on the trigger.
Yeah, the hammer on the trigger
on the chamber,
like making that noise where it's like, oh god, like I don't know what is going to happen here, but it is clearly not going anywhere good.
Mm-hmm. And always the robots seem to come out when he's feeling extreme emotions, extreme jealousy, extreme annoyance, extreme hate, whatever it is. In this one, it's extreme cockiness because, like, literally that hammer comes back out the back of his head and then bang, shoots him in the head.
Right.
Just like,
and then this like 500-foot tall robot comes out of it that happens to also be a hand.
Yeah, I've my note here says the giant hand holding handguns also holding hands.
Yep. Yep. It's really good.
Because sure, why not?
Yeah. It's one of those things too, like when the hand like calcifies next to the iron, you're just like, okay. Mm-hmm. Like what's her name? Lieutenant Kitsurubami. Amaro's lieutenant was sort of like, I wonder if they're trying to like smooth out the world, like you smooth out the wrinkles in her brain. He's like, yeah, whatever. It's like, oh no, she got it. she figured it out.
Yeah, but the wrinkles is how you think. It's like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are clearly like 5 factions at work here, and I have no idea who any of them are, and that's fine.
Well,
because
some of them don't even show up where they're talking about the Pirate King, and it's like, yeah, but he's not even like in the show. Like he sort of is, but not really.
Yeah, which takes us to episode 5, which is the robot dog episode.
Episode 6, yeah.
6, yeah, sorry.
I always think the robot dog happens way earlier, but it's like the last thing that happens in the show.
And also, I know another reason you love this show is because the cats are so goofy, and there are so many different types of cats.
It's true.
You've got the giant fat cat who lives at home with Naoto.
Who also happens to be like an interstellar radio.
Yes. You have the little tiny cute stray that Kanzi saves.
Yep.
And the brother's girlfriend. I'm bad with names.
I can never remember her name. I feel so badly.
She looks after him, and they're just everywhere in the show. But yeah, the robot dog, which turns out to be the computer control core for the giant hand.
Yes.
That turns the hand active so it can pick up the iron and flatten out the planet for whatever reason.
The only thing that they say in the show is that Medical Mechanica is flattening planets all across the galaxy, and it seemed like Earth was next. It's like, okay, sure.
That's it.
I'll buy that. Why not?
You never meet anyone from Medical Mechanica. You never see anybody from Medical Mechanica other than the giant robots.
Yep.
You never see what government agency Space Force that the Colonel is working for other than a bunch of screens and a couple of people.
Yeah, and it's like, is this an official thing they're doing, or they sort of... Is this like a wet works project they're going? And like, is Medical Mechanica even really real, or is this another one of Haruko's lies?
Yeah. And then Haruko seems to be in love with the Pirate King Amanoko, or whatever his name is.
Adamsk.
Yes, that guy. Which, this is where you get the real flex. The real flex of this show comes out in this episode.
All of episode 6 is just like, look at this. Colors you ain't never seen before. Animation going crazy. Look at this dude, he's red.
Yeah, and this is where I was like, oh, so the guys who made Naruto clearly watched this. Because this is 1,000% the Nine-Tailed Fox version of Naruto.
Yep.
Like, where he turns that orange, and it's literally the same color palette and everything.
God, like him coming out of Kante's TV face thing is
with
just
the two
like
guitars is so cool.
It's just so cool. Like it's one of those things where the payoff is totally worth it, because he comes out just glowing. The band-aid comes off of his, like the giant bandage comes off of his face, and he has like the symbol of the Pirate King there. And he comes out with not one but two totally dope guitars, and then eventually smushes them together to be like a double neck Led Zeppelin style guitar. It's just like, come on, this is all so cool.
And then he gets into a fight, and literally he depowers himself just by saying, "Hey, by the way, I love you."
Smooch.
And then the Phoenix comes out and then just steals everything.
And it's I think it's really interesting how quickly Haruko turns on Naoto, because she's like, wait a minute. You took the power of the Pirate King that I've been trying to get by using you through this entire series, and now you took it? She like turns on him and starts fighting him almost immediately.
Which, like, hero, villain, who knows? Like,
well, it's exactly what Amaro has been telling Naoto was going to happen. Like, you can't trust her. She's only out for herself. This is what's going to happen. And then, surprise.
Yeah, it's really weird.
And then you're right, a giant, like 80-story tall Phoenix comes out, and then
Speaking of which, by the way, there's the Bleach influence.
Yeah. Takes like the core and the hand, and then just leaves for space. And then just 100% pieces out. And drops the iron.
Yeah, which nothing out of the ordinary ever happens in this town.
Nope. Just most boring town ever. I do really like the last couple of shots of the show, like Haruko with the double neck guitar floating in the middle of the air, being like, "Hey, you want to come with me, right? Sorry, you can't. You're still a kid." And then just like leaves. Naoto picks up the bass, and then Mamaji, who's his friend, she takes the picture of him and starts her life as a photographer, and then like life goes back to normal. It's fall now, and I like the very, very last shot is the bass guitar sitting in his room, and just out of nowhere just plucks the one string. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yes, like for our generation of undiagnosed ADHD, like early 2000s, late 90s anime
Welcome
fans,
to the inside of my brain.
Yes. This is pretty perfect. My problem is I honestly don't know how I feel about this. I just genuinely don't.
It's really a journey. Like the first time and the first couple times you see it is just like, all right, I'm kind of going for the ride here, and you'll catch something new or a couple of new things every time you watch, but a lot of it is like, yeah, these guys are kind of living their life. This is weird. And then it kind of like, episode 1 really matters, episode 6 really matters, and then the rest of it is kind of up and down.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think we can agree on something. The soundtrack totally rips.
Yes, it does. The soundtrack is pretty solid.
Yeah.
The intro music's pretty cool too.
Yep.
Well, yeah, the soundtrack is fantastic, and like I said, you can see the evolution of the style. Like, especially if you've seen things after this, I can see that methodology coming into future releases.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know if I like it or not.
Yeah.
But
It, it,
having said that, I didn't like Akira like the first 15 times I saw that thing.
sure.
So
Well, and I think the hardest part about this is that it really isn't your straightforward mainstream anime stuff. It isn't like, here's a clear story, here's a clear villain every episode, here is the bad guy, and here's a clear ending. Like, so much of it is left up to interpretation, or sometimes parallels to whatever Naoto's dad is talking about with references, but 95% of people aren't going to get that, and that it's okay. I think
yeah,
it largely works without that, but it's just it's such a singular thing. There are things I have watched that are crazier. Excel Saga, Dead Leaves. Dead Leaves is an even crazier movie that made by Production IG, who worked on this, which is very, very clearly influenced by their work on this show, but sort of to its detriment. And I think one of the things that I give FLCL a lot of credit for is that even if you're not 100% following along with it, and even if it's a little too crazy or a little too fast paced, I think it's still really, really well done, enough that even if you don't like it, or even if you didn't follow the whole thing, you can just say, like, man, they really made something super cool, super high quality, and they kind of made whatever the hell they wanted. Like, this is
yeah.
clearly,
I think
there's no influence from anybody else, and like, that's super clear.
yeah, this feels unique. Is probably the
Yes,
best way I could describe it.
for
Like
better or for worse.
like Akira is iconic. Ghost in the Shell is iconic, but they are
Yep.
not unique. Like
Right.
they have very similar. They are very much the styles of the time. Like one could argue that Fisted North Star and Akira are very similar visually. The only
Yes.
difference
Yep.
is one's after the bomb and one's before the bomb, kind of
Right.
thing.
Right.
But it's definitely unique. I don't
Yeah, and
know if
it's
I like the uniqueness,
right.
but it's unique.
And I think you can sort of see why this did so well on Adult Swim over here. I never caught it on Adult Swim because I had caught it before it came out over here. Um, but I think with how much Adult Swim repeatedly plays stuff, you kind of got a chance every couple of weeks to kind of watch it a number of times and be like, oh, okay, cool, like, all right, these things connect. I didn't catch that last time. Oh, they made a joke about in episode 6 about, people calling them lazy in episode 1 about the manga scene, and they said, oh, actually that took a
Yeah,
lot of
they
work, but
literally
whatever.
reference back to it, like, oh,
Mhm.
people complained when I put it in the first episode, and it's like, come on.
And one of my favorite shots is the people in the background carrying the panels off, like off screen.
Yes.
That's really good. Oh god. But like, I think this is probably one of the more divisive series, to be sure, where it's like, if you don't like things that are kind of esoteric, if you don't like things where you kind of just have to take the ride and see if you like it, you
Which is
probably
something
won't like this.
you are fantastic at doing that. You
I
are
love to.
fantastic
I
at.
want to give stuff a shot where it's like, it takes a lot from me to sit down and like read something or watch something or listen to something and not kind of take the ride. And this is one of those things that sort of um, gives a lot more credence to that, where it's like, yeah, just
Yeah.
sometimes it works out, and sometimes it's kind of this cool thing where you finish it and it's like, I don't, I'm not entirely, I'm like, I understand like 25% of that, but it was cool as hell.
hmm
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that we've talked about with this actual show that we're doing, not Fooly Cooly, but Critical Misses.
Hmm.
Like, I think you will admit that yourself. You had zero interest in the Fast Saga.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I would argue that you are probably one of the biggest staunch supporters of that now. Where if
Yeah.
somebody was to say to you, "Should I watch the Fast series?" you might respond with yes,
Yes,
and
it's
start
one
from
of
the
the
beginning.
it's one of the smartest dumb things you can watch.
It's actually a really good take.
Yeah.
But like that is something you are fantastic at. Is just don't look it up. Don't try
Yeah,
and
just
break it
try it.
down right now.
Just give it a
Shut your
shot.
mouth, watch it, and see how it goes.
I mean, especially with something like Fooly Cooly is like 2.5 hours. You got 2.5 hours. Instead of watching Lord of the Rings for the 40th time, just watch something new. Just watch Fooly Cooly. If you don't like it, cool. Now you know you don't like, well, this is like one of one. But if there was other things that were like this, you would say, well, I don't like things like FLCL.
Yeah, that's true, and it's a very handy way to get your thumbs down thing for
Right.
Netflix.
Right.
Get that algorithm working in your favor.
Do not recommend me anything else like this. I am not interested. Oh man, but that leads us into sort of our next thing here, which is we still have 2 seasons here to go of Fooly Cooly. This was the original one where it came out in '99 and 2000, sort of a huge hit, kind of accidentally, and then much, 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 much later, Adult Swim said,
18 years later.
"Yeah." Adult Swim is like, "You guys want to do another one of those and we've got the money?" And they were like, sure. How about
Wait.
2 more seasons?
The sequel is legal drinking age older.
Yes. Yes. That's
In
why
the
when
UK,
they
at least.
that's when they announced it, they were like, we're making more Fooly Cooly, and I was like, yeah, okay. Sure. I'll believe you when it comes out. And then it came out like 2 years later, and I was like, oh no, they did it. Okay. Cool. So the next one we're going to watch them in chronological order, and watch Fooly Cooly Progressive, which I've never seen. So I
you haven't seen any of these next 2, correct?
Yeah, I haven't seen Progressive or Alternative. Just sort of haven't gotten around to them in like the last 2 years. So we'll see. We'll talk about our expectations in the next episode, but I'm sure they will be weird and unexpected. So. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.